Hi, it's IPC Apex 2023. We're in San Diego. I'm joined by Rob from BTU. Good to see you again.
Likewise, good to see you as well. Thanks for having me.
A year ago, we were sitting here talking about things are kind of getting back to normal, but actually this year it does feel like normal, doesn't it?
It really does feel like things are coming back to normal. Lots of customers are traveling again, which is great. They're allowed to travel now, which is very, very helpful. We had a very good morning, a decent afternoon as well. So yeah, we're very pleased so far with how the show's going.
Brilliant. And what are you talking about this year? Have you got new things to talk about?
So we're showcasing a few things. We're showcasing our Flux Management, our AquaScrub Flux Management system, which we showcased last year as well, which is used for mitigation of flux residues in reflow ovens. So that's a new technology that we're showing off. In addition, one of the key things that we're showing off this year is a new product introduction and a partnership with a company called iRaptor and in partnership with BTU for a reflow oven profiler, data logger system. So this is a thermal profiler that we've introduced here and announced at the show.
Oh, right, great, yeah. And reception is good to that, I guess?
Yeah, so far so good, yeah, absolutely. And you know, this is part of an ecosystem of process monitoring products for our oven. So as we expand our offering, this is another step in our process monitoring toolbox. Another product that we use in tandem with this would be what's called the Profile Guardian system, which is again a redundant thermal monitoring system that looks at the overall thermal process in our ovens.
So it delivers efficiency improvements across the board? Yeah,
well, it's you need to thermal profile an oven at its simplest form to determine whether or not the oven is tuned to the profile that the printed circuit board requires based on the paste manufacturer. So you have to essentially check it to make sure it's good. So with the new profiler, we now offer that capability from us as a reflow oven provider versus going to a third party. Why is this important is because you've got to have good yield in your product, and so between the thermal profiler and this Profile Guardian monitoring system, the two things work in tandem.
Right.
And again, it's about making sure that the oven thermal process is within the boundaries and limits that you have set to get good yield.
Yeah, and you know, customers, again, you know, we've got more coming out this year kind of thing, and businesses thrive on that interaction, don't they? You know, you've got to find out what people need.
Yeah.
And you also need a little bit of a crystal ball to look ahead of the curve a bit, I guess, don't you?
Absolutely. You know, there's nothing like the face-to-face interaction at a trade show with customers, because you get to see the reaction of, you know, not only the emotion, but the reaction of their face, and you get immediate feedback on whether or not your new product is heading in the right direction. And of course, they come up with some great ideas as well to help you with the future.
Well, that is it, isn't it? And it's that collaborative approach is essential, isn't it, these days? You know, you can't
absolutely
develop in isolation, can you?
No, absolutely not. I mean, you've got to have that customer input. Our voice of the customer process relies heavily on customer input to make sure that we get customers exactly what they need when they need it.
And I guess one of the main questions, you know, their demands now is that things are easy to use, isn't it? You know, this whole thing, you know, the issues we used to talk about supply chains, but everyone accepts that. But it's that, is it easy to use for an operative, that we don't have to have a highly skilled operative to use it, all those kind of things. That's
right.
Seems to be the top level requirement a lot of the time.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point, actually. You know, one of the things we found over the years, you know, as the business changes and transitions in our industry, is, you know, the available process engineers to support the lines sometimes can be challenging to keep. Right? We've seen a job market where there's lots of changes, and so these customers rely on, you know, instead of an engineer to help them dial in their process, now they need someone maybe that's not an engineer, a technician, to help do that work. And then it leads exactly to where you're going here, which is about the ease of use of the tool, and essentially having that kind of that process engineer built into the software or the user interface that allows a customer to do those types of things without having a process engineer.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, use the word term, an ecosystem of your products. I guess you're continually adding to that. So next year we might see some working on anything for next year.
Yeah. So the idea with this ecosystem on our monitoring systems is our longer term roadmaps are focused on how do we automate some of these processes. So thermal profiling in oven has always been a manual process. So our roadmap is focused around how do we automate that process in such a way so that intelligence is built into the oven. The oven can potentially self-correct and auto-tune itself. So that's kind of the direction that we're heading with it.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for sparing the time to talk to us.
Absolutely.
Good to see you again. I hope the rest of the show is as busy as it seems to be so far. So.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
And we'll see you again next year, I guess.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
Take care.